Okay guys, so welcome to this video. I've shown us how to draft an outline, and it is very important you watch that video carefully. Now you are ready to apply for a contract, and for you to apply for a contract in any platform, your words must be up to 5,000. That is why I took time to explain in the free writing in the module where I talked about free writing. You write, just write as you're led. Continue to write when you are starting. Practice, write, because how they do all this is that they look at the word counts. They look at the word count. So for you to apply for a contract, your outline, all this outline, the blob, team, and everything must up to be what, 5,000 words. All right, they must be up to what, 5,000 words. So the first thing to do is to get an outline, and then use it to develop your word story. For you to write your first 5k words, remember you want to develop your book now, chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4. You understand? You want to develop them. That is what I'm saying here. You want to develop them. So the first thing to do is to get an outline, and then use it to develop your story. Of course, we already got an outline here. You understand? So this is an outline: title, genre, trope, theme, setting, blob. All right, and then characterization, rising incident, and plot, and the rest of them. Okay. So you have been able to get the outline. Now what the outline serves is what? Two purpose. That is what the outline serves. Two purpose. Why is my mouse hanging? It serves two purpose. Now first of all is to help you build a story, and to apply for what? A contract. Outline is not your story. I keep saying this, that this outline is not your story. It helps you build your story, and also it helps you to apply for a contract. Once your editor reads your outline, it gives him or her the idea of what your story is all about. So you need to avoid asking unnecessary questions in your outlines. Avoid asking unnecessary questions. Any question you must ask should be in your blob. You understand? It should be in your word blob. Hold on guys, it should be in your word blob. That is your description, synopsis, overview. Any question you should ask, it should be in the blob and not in the outline you're drafting. Am I communicating? All right. Now, if there are any struggles in the story, by your male lead, this ML is male lead, okay, and FL is female word lead. If there are any struggles in the story by your male lead or female lead, make it known in your outline. Make it known. Now, include a touch of romance in your werewolf story. So remember I said that we were looking at three genres here. We have the werewolf, the billionaire romance, and the mafia word books, mafia books. So add romance to every of the book you're writing. You understand? So how do you do this? You need to read on those sites that I already showed you to see all these books. You understand? So if you're writing a book of mafia, it should not be all about war and the guns and the rest of it. Add element of romance to it. Maybe a warlord who saw a girl, fell in love with the girl. You understand? There should be element of love attached to it. It spices the story up. Now, before you apply, you need your first 5,000 words before you can apply for a contract. So your chapter 1 must be very, very word catchy, and each of your chapters should be up to 1,000 words. Try to make it up to 1,000 each of your chapters. So you need your first 5,000 words before you can apply for a contract. So your chapter 1 must be very, very word catchy. It should be very, very word catchy. Once it is not catchy, they will dump your story. That is the truth. Once your chapter 1 is boring, they already dump it. They don't want to know what is in the subsequent chapters. So please, it is very, very important. So while you're applying for this contract, make sure when you have used this outline now to develop your word story and everything, and you're now writing a book, make sure that your first chapter is catchy. Now, there are tips to write this. there are tips to write this. That is tips to write your first 5,000 words. Start your story from the main part or sweet part. Alright? Start your story from the main part or sweet part of the story. It is not the time for you to continue to describe the looks or appearance of your character. I've said this over and over. It is not the time for you to begin to say Dustin, well broad shoulder, Dahlia wore a skirt that is this. No. So start with the, as you can see in this story, I started with divorce paper, which is a very main part. I didn't start with the sweet part. I started with main part. So it is not the time to describe the looks or appearance of your character, but to state the real events that will make the author want to continue reading. So the primary goal is for you to keep the author captivated. It's for you to keep the author glued. You want a contract. You want the dollars. Okay? So that is what you want. So you need to really keep the author going. You need to keep the author to continue to read. My mouse is really misbehaving, okay? Okay, so I gave an example here. I said, my wife is a CEO. She always hates me for being lazy and wants to divorce me, but she doesn't know that her success is bestowed by me. You see how I started this story? You understand? Dustin, here is the divorce agreement prepared by Miss Nicholson. All you need do is sign them. I started with the main part. Of the story. So as I was saying, I started with the main part of the story. Dustin, here is the divorce agreement prepared by Miss Nicholson. All you need to do is sign them. Now, in the president's office of the Queen Group, the secretary, Lyra Blaine, placed a piece of A4 paper on the table. A man sat opposite her, dressed in plain clothing. You understand? So you see how I started this story. Divorce? What do you mean? Dustin Rice was taken aback. Now I want you to see the writing style. As you can see, two paragraph, maximum of 3-4. All right, maximum of 3-4. As you can see. So don't jam back your work. It makes it tiring. So give the space. You can see the space. So by the time you read these books online, you will see how all this writing style. So it's very, very, very important you follow all those guides. Please, it's very important. My wife is a CEO. You see how I started it. Hates me for being lazy. So what I'm trying to say is that start your story from the main part of the story. It is not time to describe the looks or appearance. So I won't read all these things in order not to bore you and the rest of it. All right. So the next thing is that the first 5K words of your story should not be spent being too descriptive. Don't be too descriptive. That is telling unnecessary stories. It's telling unnecessary stories. So stories that are irrelevant or things that are irrelevant in your story, don't put them. So it's not the time. After they must have given you contract, you can now start all those gimmicks. But don't do that in your first 5K words because you want this contract. So don't waste it trying to say irrelevant. Start with a small description and then boom, hit the action. They are curious to know what happened in the story. So once the editor sees your story and is able to keep the readers going, so once the editor confirms that your story can keep people going, you have a contract given to you. You understand? You have a contract given to you. So it's very important. Focus on the attention of the readers by showing emotions in your writing. Add emotions in your writing. If your book is not powerful from the first chapter, I've said this over and over, if it is not filled with emotions, if they do not feel what your female lead is feeling, there is no contract. So you need to lure and trap your readers in your book. You need to lure and trap them in your book. That is why you need to be creative. And how can you be creative? Is by reading all these books in this genre. If you're writing on romance, that means you need to read book on romance. If you're writing on werewolf, read books on werewolf very well. Look at the style. Look at the emotions. Look at how the author is trapping the readers in the book. They want to continue to read. You want to continue to read the book. So that is what you need to apply here. Each of your chapter must end with a cliffhanger. You see, this thing is very, very important. I'm going to explain it. Each of your chapter. Now, everything I'm saying in this video, please, I want you to jot them down. I want you to jot them down. Now, this module is very, very lengthy because it is the heartbeat. If you get it, you imagine. Let me tell you something. Dollar, by the time I'm shooting this video, when I'm shooting this video, dollar is around roughly 900 and pounds is around 1,000 stuff. You're talking about a contract that can give you $1,000. $1,000 is roughly close to 1 million. So why don't you take time? So if you get all this stuff, initially it might look hard. Once you get all these stuff, boom, master them. You are perfect. So each of your chapters must end with a cliffhanger. Now, big question is, what is a cliffhanger? Now, a cliffhanger is a storytelling technique where a story or a scene suddenly at a moment of high tension or suspense. You understand? A cliffhanger is a storytelling technique where a story or scene ends suddenly at a moment of high tension or suspense, leaving the audience eager to know what happened next. This leaves the reader with no option than to know what happened next. Make sure that each of your chapters ends with a cliffhanger. So you are leaving them wondering to know what happened next. Imagine that you were watching a movie and then the movie is very interesting and armed robbers there's been these armed robbers that have been terrorizing a town in a movie, and then they went to rob in a bank, and then the police now came and surrounded the bank, and that is where you ended the story. Now, do you think that people will not open the next chapter? So far your story is interesting. It happens in Nigerian movies. Those are cliffhangers. When you keep your reader in suspense, they want to know what happened in the next scene. You understand? Make the reader, it is very important that you make the reader want to turn to the next page. Make them want to turn to the next page. Do you know why? If your story have no cliffhanger, your book may be abandoned by the reader. If your book is abandoned by the reader to come back in days to continue, nobody is going to pay you. But if there is a cliffhanger, the reader can wait to see what happens in the next chapter. It's just like when they were acting, what's this season movie? Haste, Money Haste or something. It happens each season, each episode, there is a cliffhanger which makes you want to know what happens in the next episode. So it is very important you add a cliffhanger. And I also did that here. So in our next video, we will continue because I don't want this video to exceed these 13 minutes.